Hello and a very warm welcome. I'm Rohit Gandhi.
You're watching Gravitas. I'm Sana Khan.
It's a somber day. Jayalalitha, one of India's most influential and colorful politicians, was buried in the presence of tens of thousands of mourners. The 68-year-old Chief Minister of the southern state of Tamil Nadu suffered a heart attack on Sunday night. She was a controversial political figure through parts of her political career. But for many, she was a messiah. Her friends knew her as someone who lived fearlessly, someone who believed in taking life head-on, enigmatic and action-oriented. Her passing away has left a huge void in the state of Tamil Nadu and in politics in India. Tonight on the show, we want to talk about her legacy that she's left behind.
All right, in fact, joining us on the show this evening is Mr. Ashish Nandi, sociologist and clinical psychologist. Thanks so much for joining us this evening. Also, we have with us our correspondent Archit Seshadri. He's been tracking all the developments for our viewers in Chennai. Kartikeya Sharma, chief domestic correspondent, joins us from New Delhi. But let's quickly take a look at the top story, our first report that we want to share with our viewers. Jayalalitha, Tamil Nadu's chief minister, was laid to rest earlier this evening. A public life that started under the arc lights in 1960 and who went on to become the chief minister, often admired, always worshipped, sometimes criticized, but forever loved by the people. Surely it was a life less ordinary, and the spontaneous outpouring of grief is a testimony to that. Take a look.
When news began to spread that Jayalalitha had suffered a cardiac arrest on Sunday night, Apollo Hospitals in Chennai was under siege. Not just party workers, but unknown faces, common men and women from all walks of life stood on a vigil through the night waiting for the news about their beloved leader.
All right, in fact, that's the kind of reaction that we got to see, Rohit, ever since she went into that cardiac arrest and things became very serious. The doctors were working overtime to save her life.
Absolutely. I think it was a challenge as people saw, that she was slipping away. The information started to pour in very, very early in the evening, but we decided to hold back on the information, decided that we won't go with that because it is essential to make sure until the doctors have declared that she's passed away, we're not going to pass away that judgment.
Right. In fact, joining us right now is my colleague Archit Seshadri. He's been reporting for us continuously through the night and through the day today as well. Let's quickly go across to him and get a sense of what's happening. Archit, do you sense an air of helplessness when you saw what's happening around you? I know you've been part of the whole procession that went on to the beach there and overlooking, what was happening, people crying, and there was completely, the mood was somber.
Sana, you absolutely hit the hammer on the nail. It definitely was a very somber mood here in Chennai and all of Tamil Nadu as people are still coming to terms that their amma, or mother as she's commonly known, is no more. The actress turned politician Jayalalitha winning the hearts of the people of Tamil Nadu. She'd done a lot for the people, opening up Amma Canteen that afforded low quality meals. She also had Amma Salt, Amma Cement, Amma Water, so really stepping up and making sure that every part of the social society was addressed. Today we saw people just upset. We spoke to many people. They spoke to me in Tamil and they said, she was like a god. She was like a savior for the people of Tamil Nadu, the second female chief minister, and they don't know or they don't think anyone can ever replace her. Visibly upset, visibly saddened by that. We saw the crowds pouring in. First, they started off visiting her at the Rajaji Hall, then that huge procession that we saw in the afternoon, walking all the way down to Marina Beach. And boy, we've never seen a crowd like that. So many thousands of people there marching up to get one last glimpse of Jayalalitha or Amma before the funeral wrapped up at Marina Beach, right next to her mentor, MGR.
Archit, when you saw all those people and you spoke to them, what were they telling you? Give us a glimpse of what kind of a leader they thought she was.
Rohit, you know, the type of leader that everybody described Jayalalitha as was someone who was compassionate, someone who cared for the people. They spoke to me and they were crying. They were coming to terms with this, and they really couldn't make sense that she actually is not going to lead the people of Tamil Nadu anymore. She had served 6 terms. She was an iconic figure, a very popular actress, and she'd done so much for not only the middle class, but also for the needy, for the poor. Some of the people told me that she was able to bring and buy goats and cows for helping agricultural farmers. She was also able to give clothes to the needy, giving food, giving shelter. If somebody was sick, she would immediately make sure they were given the right treatment, taking them to the hospital. If there was somebody who was kidnapped, if there was any kind of crime, she would be on top of that, getting results, getting answers for people. And that's why Chennai has such a low crime rate. They were, approving and saying that this is all because of Amma, because of Jayalalitha, what she's done for the people, that big void that they now have to fill. And that is what they were concerned about. Who will be able to replace someone like Jayalalitha? Well, they said they don't know if anyone can replace her, but they're certainly hoping and praying that her legacy will live on and that Paneerselvam can continue her philosophies.
Thank you, Archit, for watching that story for us. He's going to be continuing to be in Chennai to watch that story, to make sense of this helplessness and to understand where does the state go from here. We're joined by Mr. Ashish Nandi. He's a sociologist and a clinical psychologist. Thanks for joining us, Ashish. First, let me start by asking you, when you look at such adulation of a political figure, you've studied this for a while. What comes to your mind,
Well,
Ashish?
it's a spectacular adulation, and mourning always arouse suspicions in my mind. Do not forget that she became the chief minister 4 times.
6 times, actually.
Actually, yes.
Yes.
Actually, if you count it right, 6 times. And at least 4 times she was decisively defeated by the same Tamilian electorate. And it was clear much before the electoral results came out that she was going to lose each time, each of these 4 times. So she was not a figure who was permanently an Amma of Tamil Nadu. Occasionally she was the mother-in-law, not the mother.
To understand, the culture of South Asia in some ways, and actually many parts of the world, if you look at Cuba, if you look at Romania, you were describing, or even if you look at Chile, there have been leaders who stayed for a long, long time. But such level of adulation, the kind of respect she enjoyed when we saw at this last moment, as hundreds and thousands of people came out, people literally lay on the floor to give respects to her. It was a demigod status, if I may say so. Can you explain, is there a cultural context to it?
Also a slight touch of guilt and moral discomfort that they had ditched her so many times, that they have thought her to be a witch also. Occasionally, they have not only gulped, but acted on accusations of her, what you might call, accusations of her corruption and nepotism and authoritarian ways. That also was part of the story. But yes, there was a fascination with her. The Tamilians always had a love affair with film stars. Not only Tamilians, I think half of India. You might notice the difference that in Bombay film stars, when they join politics, they are usually subservient to the leaders of the parties.
Right.
Whereas in South India, they are the ones who wield the real power. The other politicians hover around them, because the appeal of the film stars is not perhaps only as a film stars, but
Larger than life characters.
the larger than life character. You know that they are not larger than life, and yet you impute that to them.
But sir, let me interrupt you. Wouldn't you say that she, broke that? She was a film star, but then when she moved into politics, would you say that she didn't do enough because her schemes were ever so popular that things that she did for the poor, the subsidized food, the distribution of 35 kilograms of rice. Do you think in that sense she was someone who left the actor part behind and took on the role of this of a politician head on?
Yes, I'm sure people appreciated it, but that appreciation is never permanent because they also know that there is it's an exchange of favors, and ultimately they have the right to ditch her if she could not or cannot think of newer schemes every other year. I mean, otherwise our friend Akhilesh in UP wouldn't have been struggling so hard to consolidate his position in next elections after distributing so many cycles and computers, and otherwise also taking a number of populist measures.
As a
We were
psychologist,
very popular.
Dr. Nandi, as a psychologist, when you look at the psyche of the politician itself and then the psychology of the people, how does this all fit in? Can you explain that a bit to the audience?
Psychology of politicians, you mean?
Yes,
Or
psychology of
psychology of the
politicians and
people looking
psychology of
at
the people are
politicians.
looking at politics. Both, actually, both of them are very essential. So some of the leaders will say, I will become this leader and I will rule this country, or I will, wield power in this country. And then the psychology of people who look at them. What goes on behind?
No, I think we are living in different times. People don't think of it that way now. The politicians now are a collection of very odd, often contradictory political as well positions as well as images. One sociologist, Shiv Vishwanathan, has in fact called Narendra Modi himself as a collection of images. This is because they are so media dependent, and elections themselves are media dependent. So actually you take on populist causes by sensing what will be more popular, not will be good for the country, not would be the good for the people themselves in the long run, but what actually will pay you dividends, what at the moment seems to be a popular demand, and what at the moment will sell. Nobody thinks for a time span more than 5 years, and within that you have to manipulate things. So this is a different game. So people have to some extent have come to sense that the politician is not what he always pretends to be, but a politician is also, though he is wearing a mask, often becomes the mask. The politician's mask is his persona.
That's interesting how you look at it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a and just to be able to understand the psychology of
This is
the
a very
politician.
this is a very new culture of politics, because previously the representational process determined the thing. You started life. I was just telling this to somebody that you started life at the lowest level, become a mayor of a small city or town, then you graduate
Slowly.
to district politics.
That's right.
Then
And you rise up
become an
slowly.
MLA or
Correct.
something, and then you become a MP, and then even then you have to struggle to acquire a leadership position. And in the process, you represent a whole hierarchy of
Absolutely. Right.
or circles.
That's
of
true for
constituency.
any work
Yeah,
that
but
anybody
that
does. Yeah.
thing is changing all over the world. That's why some of the things you were saying about politicians in different countries is partly this, that now we are living in a world where somebody comes from outside, and because he comes or she comes from outside, has one foot outside politics, therefore he or she seems to be cleaner
Right.
and more innocent
Than
the hard-boiled politicians of Washington and New York, as Trump sold the slogan.
Thank you.
And
Thank you,
so on and so
Dr. Nandi.
forth.
Thank you for your insights. At this point, I want to bring up a story that talks about the impact that Jayalalitha had over the state. So who is Jayalalitha, and what does her death mean for the state of Tamil Nadu and national politics in India? Here's a look back at her second career as a politician.